How much is too much to pay for a console game? A game that once clocked is next to useless. For some avid gamers, cost doesn't even enter the equation. The desire to secure it is so high, they will purchase it at any price. From the exceedingly rare Nintendo World Championships Remix game cartridge to the test launch copy of a Super Mario Bros. Game, here are 15 ridiculously expensive games for when you win the lottery. Before we begin, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and click the notification bell for more amazing videos every day. That being said, let's begin. Number 15. 1990 Nintendo World Championships. To coincide with Nintendo's 100th anniversary, Nintendo launched its first annual nationwide video game competition series in Canada in 1989. Organized by Nintendo of America, the Nintendo Challenge Championship, NCC, was rebranded to the Nintendo World Championships, NWC, in 1990 when Nintendo assumed full distribution and marketing from its partners. Based on a custom game cartridge for the NES, the championships toured 30 American cities, and the 1990 cartridge is now considered the most rare and valuable of all NES cartridges today. From March 8th to 11th, 1990, the first Nintendo World Championships was held in the Fair Parks Automobile Building in Dallas, Texas. It then toured through 29 additional cities across the United States, with players from 3 separate age groups participating in the annual event. Each event was held over 3 days, with competitors all vying for the title of City Champion. Finalists won a trophy and $250 plus a trip for 2 to the World Finals at Los Angeles Universal Studios in early December that same year. A Nintendo Power Pad and a Game Boy were awarded to the runners-up. In the grand finale, contestants played a special Nintendo World Championships cartridge that contained 3 customized minigames. These minigames were based on other popular games, including Super Mario Bros., Red Racer, and Tetris. This cartridge was not released outside America and is now very rare, with just 115 ever made. Of these, 26 were gold and were given away in a Nintendo Power contest, and 29 were gray and were given to the 90 finalists. The gold version is particularly rare. However, both have been known to sell for several $1,000s on eBay. Number 14. Rare Super Mario Bros. Part of a test launch of the Nintendo Entertainment System, a Super Mario Bros. Video game sold for the record price of $140,000 in 2019. A later print run of the same game sold on eBay for almost $100,000 less, fetching its owner just $42,000 back in 2017. The 2019 sale is said to have garnered more interest from buyers due to its rarity and immaculate condition. Although 40 million copies of the game were sold, just a few thousand were part of the initial test launch of the Nintendo Entertainment System in New York and Los Angeles. This much-loved copy was part of the test launch and still had the unique sticker seal to prove it. Denise Kahn, president of Wata Games, which certified and graded the game before it was sold, drew comparisons to Action Comics #1 and the debut of Superman. The game was distributed in 1985 before Nintendo had gone nationwide in the United States. Number 13. Crazy DLC prices. When it comes to Steam, you may think you've hit the jackpot. You can buy almost any game, with most, if not all, being reasonably priced. Paying anywhere between $7.99 to $60 for your favorite game seems fair, until you check out the add-ons. Downloadable content, or DLCs, can be purchased from some game developers to enhance your original game. Many of these are also fairly inexpensive, but others not so much. Take, for example, Dovetail Games Train Simulator 2020. With huge lists of DLCs available, you could find yourself in the hole for upwards of $9,000 if you're wanting to get a good set of trains to play with. What started out as a mere $30 investment can reach into the thousands depending on your requirements. The game is currently the most expensive video game on Steam in comparison to The Sims 4 that will only set you back $510 to own all the DLCs, including the micro expansions. Train enthusiasts on a budget are encouraged to focus on specific train collections and the odd route or two. Why anyone would want to spend that much money on an image of a train set is beyond me. At least if you bought a real one, you'd have something to show for your depleted bank balance, wouldn't you? Number 12. Dying Light. Zombie fans and parkour enthusiasts were no doubt thrilled when the video game Dying Light was launched in 2015. Loved and loathed by players across the globe, what started out as a fun video game has now become the most expensive ever made, with add-on packages making the complete bundle a whopping $10 million US. What kind of kid could afford that sort of investment? $9,999,940 above the retail price, the Dying Light Spotlight Edition has quite a few glamorous features, the most valuable being a supporting role in Dying Light the movie. And for those of you who have no idea how to act, part of the package includes acting lessons, parkour training, a personal trainer, and an original copy of the script signed by the cast. You also get 4 copies of the game, 10 VIP tickets to the opening night, and much more. Considered nothing more than a publicity stunt, this one-of-a-kind package easily makes the Dying Light Spotlight Edition the most expensive game bundle ever. But if you're a video game fan, are keen on breaking into the big screen, and have a sly $10 million lying around, then this could be the opportunity of a lifetime. Number 11. Gamma Attack. A buy it now price on eBay in 2008 merely acted as a publicity stunt for Gamma Attack, a rare Atari 2600 game released by publisher Gamation. With just one copy available across the globe, its owner Anthony DiNardo tried to sell it for $500,000, only to find its real worth was between $20,000 and $50,000 US. Not bad for a game that would have cost him significantly less than that. Its rarity helped to increase its price tag, putting it in the upper levels of video game collecting. Although Gamma Attack is now available on PC and reproduction carts are available online, the original is still considered to be super exclusive, ensuring its value will be maintained for many years to come. It's not known why only one cartridge was produced by the gaming company, but owner Anthony DiNardo is no doubt happy to sit on his investment for a little longer. Number 10. Grid 2 Mono Edition. Another publicity stunt is said to be responsible for the hype created around Briggs Automotive Company's launch of the Grid 2 Mono Edition. The one-off super expensive Saints Row 4 Super Dangerous WAD Edition formed part of the launch, with its $1 million US price tag failing to attract a buyer. The package includes a PlayStation 3, a copy of Grid 2, a Grid 2 branded race suit and accessories, a tour of the Briggs Automotive Company factory, and a real road-legal 280 horsepower single-seat BAC mono supercar. And if you think the package sounds like an okay deal, you'd be wrong. The supercar is said to be worth just $188,700 US, and the rest certainly doesn't amount to over $800,000, so it's not surprising the package is still available for purchase. While owning a collector's edition game might be nice, there's often accessories that come along with it that are simply throw-out material. The same can't be said for this gaming bundle, however, with the extras more exciting than the game itself. Number 9. Star Wars Battle Pod. Star Wars doesn't seem to have ever lost its appeal, but with the latest gaming device valued between $35,000 and $100,000, it'll be interesting to see whether its hefty price tag will change its fans' stance. Produced by Bandai Namco, the Star Wars Battle Pod, an aerial battle game featuring a fully immersive dome screen where players pilot famous Star Wars fighters from a Star Wars film, will be available for purchase in the United States, Europe, and Japan. The arcade games come in a $25,000 US standard edition and a $100,000 premium version. Different from those that you see at the arcade, the premium Star Wars arcade game will come in 2 designs, a Rebel pilot's helmet and Darth Vader. They are individually customized with movable real leather seats, exclusive carpeting, and the machine comes with an owner's manual. They are also numbered and individually emblazoned with their new owner's name, which also appears in the game credits. Standard designs are the same as those you would find in an arcade. Star Wars Battle Pod is the first fully immersive Star Wars experience and includes 5 stages inspired by the original Star Wars movies, certain to delight the die-hard Star Wars fan if they can afford it. Number 8. Stadium Events. Yet another invention by Bandai, Stadium Events was a game released in 1987. Designed for their family fun fitness mat, Stadium Events was a game that could be controlled by walking, jumping, and running on the mat. Nintendo bought the rights to both the mat and the game in 1988, re-releasing them both under new names as they didn't want any confusion between the two companies. Stadium Events became World Class Track Meet, and Family Fun Fitness Mat became the Power Pad controller. All copies of Stadium Events were pulled from the shelves and were said to be destroyed. However, 200 had already been sold. Of those 200, 20 are believed to still be in existence today, making them both rare and expensive. Better still, if you're an avid collector of all things vintage and you still have the box, Stadium Events is an investment, with the box alone fetching up to $10,000. A Kansas man made a real find when he came across one collecting dust in his wardrobe. The game, considered to be the second only full copy in existence, was still in its sealed box and fetched him a whopping $41,300. The new repackaged version, World Class Track Meet, can be secured for just $3 on eBay. Number 7. Air Raid. The only known copy of the Atari 2600 game Air Raid to still exist sold for $31,600 in April 2010. Distributed by Atari in 1982, the shoot-'em-up style game was designed by Men A Vision, who developed just the one game. With limited distribution, the rare games are known to have sold for between $3,000 and $33,433 over the years, with this copy said to be the only complete version. A second version appeared in October of the same year, and it was a truly complete version with the cartridge, instruction manual, and the box all intact. This copy was put up for auction and eventually secured the original owner an impressive $33,433.30. He had found himself in possession of the incredibly rare game quite by accident, when as a young lad working in the video game department of a drugstore in the 80s, a visiting rep had given it to him to try out at home. On deciding it wasn't good enough to sell in the store, the rep told him to keep it. Nearly 3 decades later, and still in possession of the game, the seller is no doubt pleased with his decision to hold on to it. The hype surrounding these sales of the highly sought-after game prompted another owner to surface, with their partial copy selling for $3,375 in late 2011. Not a bad effort at all. Number 6. Nintendo Campus Challenge. Created by Nintendo for a video game competition like the Nintendo World Championships of 1990, Nintendo Campus Challenge gathered participants from college campuses and spring break hotspots. Each cartridge held 3 games, Super Mario 3, Pinbot, and Dr. Mario, with each game limited to approximately 6 minutes. Whoever achieved the most points in all 3 games within the time frame allowed was crowned the winner. Following the challenge, the games were said to be destroyed. However, a 2006 sale put this fact in serious doubt. Privately sold at a garage sale of an ex-Nintendo employee for $14,000, the game was then on-sold again in 2009 for $6,000 more. Spending this much on a collectible Nintendo Entertainment System cartridge seems inconceivable, but considering the high chance it's the only one of its kind in existence, this cartridge is literally a collector's item and worth its weight in gold, so to speak. Number 5. Red Sea Crossing. Atari games have really made their mark over the years when it comes to collector's items, with the vintage Atari game Red Sea Crossing said to be among the holy grail of video game collecting. There are 2 reasons for this. The first is that there are only 2 copies known to exist on the entire planet, and the second, Red Sea Crossing, is about Moses. The game, programmed by Steve Shustak in 1983, was only ever marketed in religious publications, and just 500 copies were manufactured. Players of Red Sea Crossing took on the persona of Moses as he crossed the Red Sea, dodging fish, turtles, and other sea creatures. The occasional encounter with a pixelated Egyptian character mixed the game up a little, but it wasn't considered one of the game maker's most popular creations. A copy of the game was purchased at a garage sale for just 50 cents and sold at auction 5 years later for a whopping $10,400. Its popularity was said to have been linked to its creator Steve Stack and its rarity. Number 4. Atlantis 2. A defending Atlantis tournament run by Atari in the early 80s had its top players receiving a copy of Atlantis 2. 4 of those players were chosen to compete in the final round of the competition in Bermuda, with the winner taking away a prize pool of $10,000 US. It isn't clear how many of these cartridges were distributed, but several sources have mentioned that there are less than 100 units in existence. Identical to the original Atlantis, but with faster speed, an altered scoring system, and enemy ships worth far less points, copies of Atlantis 2 are beyond sparse. Although not very well known today, the original Atlantis game was considered a hit in the 80s. The updated version was simply tuned for competition, otherwise there was little difference between the two. There are very few confirmed sales of the cartridge at all, with one copy that emerged in 2011 selling for $6,982 at auction. Avid gamers suggest that rather than trying to find a copy of the game, to look out for Atlantis IRL instead. Number 3. Super Copa. The Super Copa Nintendo video game, released in 1994, was intended for the sports enthusiast, particularly those who enjoyed a more interactive game and playing as part of a team. A controller allowed players to take control of all the action happening in the game and could be played singularly or in pairs. Suited to both adults and children, Super Copa was a unique and fast-paced game full of slick moves to help keep gamers interested and on high alert. One of several popular video games to hit the market over the years, the game was developed by Sculptured Software and is basically the Spanish-Portuguese version of Tony Meola's Sidekick Soccer. A popular source of entertainment for decades, video games of yesteryear occasionally pop up on the open market, some with a hefty price tag attached. Only issued in Latin American countries, the Super Copa game has fetched prices of up to $6,900 US depending on its condition. Number 2. Superman, $3,000 to $10,000. For the closet hoarder among you, having an old video game cartridge or console hidden away in the attic might not be a bad thing. In fact, with the prices for old vintage gaming devices on the increase, you could well be in possession of a find worth vast sums of money. Sentimental value aside, retro video games are fetching big money on the likes of eBay and in private auctions, but don't get too excited, as not all fit the required descriptor. Standard releases of Superman, for example, aren't nearly worth as much, with those bearing red text labels worth between just $150 to $200 each. However, if your case has a yellow text label and the picture of Superman on it, you could be in luck, as it is the rarest of the Sears Telegames variants, with a boxed copy selling on eBay in November 2012 for several $1,000s. Before you get excited about the possibility you could be sitting on a gold mine, check the writing on the cartridge. If it's yellow and there's a picture of Superman on it, you could be in the money. Not only are these games sought after by gaming collectors, but superhero collectors as well. Number 1. Kizuna Encounter. Kizuna Encounter is the sequel to Savage Reign. The competitive fighting game was produced and distributed by SNK for the Neo Geo arcade and home platform in 1996. The European Neo Geo home cart PAL version was very rare, with only 5 known copies said to have been released, making it a highly sought-after collector's item. There's some confusion within the versions, however, because the Japanese AES version is not rare, and it appears identical aside from the packaging and inserts. Thought to be the rarest fighting game for a home console, it's still uncertain whether the European PAL version was ever actually released in the PAL territories. For those lucky enough to find themselves in possession of said cartridge, one sold for $12,500 US and featured in Guinness World Records Gamers Edition in 2010. The Japanese AES version, however, is both cheaper and in more plentiful supply than its European counterpart. The 1996 fighting game is like Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter and received solid reviews upon its release. However, it's the rarity of the European version that has created all the hype. Next time you moan about the cost of your child's latest gaming device, just think it may be worth a fortune in years to come. You could be playing your role in securing a long-term investment for your little darling. Maybe not, but you never know. For the adults among you, maybe there's something special in your collection. It might be worth looking into. Also, check out our other cool stuff showing up on screen right now. See you next time.